What's up, everyone? So, our guest this week is Mr. Arshay Cooper. He is one of the most accomplished people that I've come across in recent memory. Um, he even has his own movie, which is very exciting. He's done a lot of good work. He was born and raised in the west side of Chicago. He was part of one of the first all-black high school men's crew teams, which is a feat in and of itself, is incredible. And we're going to get into everything that he's done, both pre, during, and post rowing, and hopefully have some fun. And hopefully, you guys will enjoy this conversation. So, Arshay, thank you for coming on first and foremost, and thank you for everything that you've done for the sport of rowing. As a rower, it's always difficult to hear people, sing "row, row your boat" in the hallways, get called names and have to wear spandex all the time. So it's tough to get respect when you're a rower, to say the least. But I think that's what makes the sport so great. So I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you've done. And hopefully the sport will continue to grow as people hear and watch your story. Um, so thank you. So why don't you give a quick little introduction of yourself for the audience who may not be aware, and just what got you into the sport of rowing.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Matt. Super excited to just be on the podcast. And, I'm Arshay Cooper. I live in New York now, but from the west side of Chicago. And, I got into sport. It was 97. I remember just walking into the lunchroom one day, right? And a little background about our school. It was one of those schools that was considered one of the most violent schools on the west side of Chicago. It was rough. Like, you have to watch your back. You have to be tough, right? You can't show no weakness, right? And so that was the kind of school that I was at every day. People get chased home, people fight all the time, and that was the reality. And people joined gangs for protection, not really just because they want to fight, but I always say that in our school, people don't make bad choices but hard choices, right? Do I steal to eat? Do I do this to feed my family, or do I join a gang to protect myself and have protection? And so that's a little bit background of the school. But walking in the lunchroom one day, I saw this white boat, and I was like, wow, like, what is that? I never even seen a boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this lady was like, would you like to join the crew team? And I'm like, crew? Like, what's that? Like, you're taught in Chicago, if someone asks you to join a crew, you run as fast as you can, like, crew, what?
Different type of crew.
Yeah. That is little white ladies walking around starting in crews in the west side of Chicago. Like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then behind this boat, they had a TV monitor, and they were showing nothing but white people rowing. I was like, no, I'm not doing this, and I kind of walked away, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and I was talking to a buddy, and I was like, man, we don't even swim. Like, how? He was like, man, I think, he was kind of like, yeah, that's right. But the next day, man, I showed up and the boat was still there. And, but this time they said, you sign up, you get free pizza, and everybody's a sucker for pizza, And so we're like, we'll do it for the pizza. And I wanted to do it for the girl that he said he was going to hook me up with if I check out practice. And then when I went in the gym room, this guy did this incredible speech on how rowing can make an impact in your life. And, I didn't have many friends, so I wanted a brotherhood. I didn't know how to swim. I wanted to overcome that fear, and I never been anywhere, and I wanted to travel. So that was like a yes for me right after hearing that speech.
Yeah, so I wanted to get into your high school years a little bit. So you went to Manly Career Academy, which was, like you said, very notorious for being violent, gang-ridden. And I think one thing that people have to realize is that not every gang member is trying to, be the best guy on the block. Like, they're forced into that because they have to make tough decisions for their families and for, like, really their younger siblings and stuff like that. Like, you even had a friend in the book, Most Beautiful Thing. There's a documentary out underneath the same name. You had a friend named Alvin, and Alvin joined a gang because, he wanted to protect his family. He wanted to protect his brother and his siblings. I mean, how difficult was it finding inspiration, especially in high school, when you're trying to push through all this and block out all this outside noise when, you're struggling in school or something else is happening at home? How difficult was that to find inspiration, and where did you find that inspiration to keep going?
Yeah, it was tough. You know what I mean? And I think too, like, I love what you said. you have the media who will show you just the eyesight of Chicago. What, you know, they don't give you the insight, right? And um, in the city, it was rough. Like, you know, I would go to school. I missed a lot of days of school because, you know, my mom wasn't around for a while. But, you know, teachers and people would be like, oh my God, like your grades are not good, or, you know, you haven't did your homework. And I'm like, how can I do my homework? Or how can I, you know, focus on what's 20% of half, or who discovered America really, when, you know, my mother's not home, or when someone's told me they're going to jump me after school. You know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to focus. And, you know, and I think what's hard about the inspiration is this, is that, you know, me and my boys, we grew up, you know, seeing people get killed, right? We skipped over pools of blood. We ran for our lives. We heard gunshots when we sleep, right? And we experienced what some soldiers have experienced in war, but before we were 15, right? And they talk about
Yeah.
PTSD or seeing someone, you know, when you look at a suburban school right away, when there's a mass shooting, they would send in these trauma counselors, which they should, but we saw no one, and we experienced that every day,
Hmm.
right? So it was hard to find inspiration. Not only that, it was hard to see into the future because every day is survival mode. And these are good people. These are good kids in these neighborhoods. These kids that are resilient, that are committed. And one of the things I want to say is that when they would, you know, there's a lot of YMCA's and clubs down there, and when they lose funding, these kids run to the streets, and you have the gang members that say, "Hey, I will be your family. I will look out for you. You need shoes? We'll give you shoes. You need this? We'll take care of you." Right? Everyone wants to belong, like Alvin. Everyone's like a good kid. They're just looking for a place to belong. And if there's not a lot of options and access and opportunities, you run to the place that it is.